February 24, 2016 is the day that Facebook rolled out a new update that changed the way we view things on social media: the reaction button. This was an addition to the traditional like button that allowed users to express more reactions to a post rather than a like. Facebook rolled out love, haha, wow, sad, and angry. For example, if someone's grandfather died, you didn't want to like a post about Papa passing away. Instead, you could send a sad reaction. But with this new addition came with a heavy price: the angry reaction. This feature allowed people to show their anger towards a post. The price was the beginning of the rise of rage bait content. Content that Facebook, other social media companies like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, not to mention the content creators that's on those platforms, all monetize, while it's destroying the users and the viewers' mental health. My name is Leron Gaskins, aka Big Ellie.
They call me Big Ellie.
And this is the Broken Traditions Podcast, where we discuss the overconsumption of digital devices and how to overcome them. I like to call this the digital incarceration. Ironically, the cell phone is called the cell, and this device is a digital cell that keeps us locked in. If you're a person who feels like you need help breaking away from the digital incarceration, download my free workbook, The Digital Release. It's a 7-day blueprint to help you regain control of digital devices. I'll leave a link in the show notes or in the pinned comments on YouTube. The reason why I want to bring up this old added feature, a feature that is so old, some don't remember a time without it, is because of the anger reaction. This was the beginning of a time that people could gather around and all hate something or just be angry about something that is on social media. And that is very problematic. But Facebook didn't just allow anger on the platform. It engineered it, it measured it, and it monetized it. A decision that reshaped how information, identity, and conflict spreads. So let's fast forward. Let's look at social media. Let's look at the landscape of it. Tell me if I'm not lying. Everybody seems to be so angry about anything and everything. You can put anything up, somebody's angry about it. And when people are led with anger, that led with being too emotional, and then logical thinking goes out the window. I see this being a problem with all aspects of social media, whether that is political, music, sports, TV, movies, etc. I want to go back to 2016 when this was being rolled out. A news clip from CNN with a young Brian Stelter. And as always, I'll put links in the description so you guys can check it out without my interruption, and you guys could watch it as you please, right? So let's watch this clip.
Facebook is bringing in reactions. It takes us from the like button to these animated icons that let you express love, surprise, or just sometimes plain fury. It's not exactly a dislike button, but Facebook says reactions capture that spirit. Well, the icons are still being tested by a small group of users right now. Let's go to Brian Stelter in New York for more. Why the change, Brian?
Well, as always with Facebook, they're trying to have you spend more time with Facebook, and they're trying to collect more data about what you like and dislike. So it makes a lot of sense to get beyond just the thumbs up, just the like button. Obviously, people's emotions are more complex than just liking things. There was talk a few weeks ago about an actual dislike button, like a down vote. But as you can see here on screen, it's actually more complicated than that. There's a wow, a love, a ha-ha emoji. There's a yay, a sad face, an angry face. So you can give different reactions to different content. And what's behind it, like I said, well, they want you to spend more time on Facebook. They want you to be interacting with more information, more comments, more articles, so you'll be able to give feedback on those stories. And, like I mentioned, data. When you say you're angry about something or you love something, it gives Facebook more data, which they can use to target advertisements to you, which they can use to make Facebook even better for you algorithmically to give you more of what you want.
He said it could gather more data. Excuse me for that. It could gather more data. Ironically, right? It gathers more data just to show you more ads. That's the main reason for this. It was to show you more ads. And I think when this was rolled out in 2016, 10 years ago, this was rolled out 10 years ago, I think a lot of us didn't see the writing on the wall. Me personally, I remember having a conversation with my brother, right? I think We might have talked about somebody that we know passed away, and we put the post up and give our condolences, and people liked it. And he was like, "Yo, this person died. Why I liked it?" And I'm like, him being so literal at first, it's like it makes sense. Your reaction is more complex than a like button, right? And the complexity of it gave people more of a range, but also the complexity of it now gave people their information about how they feel about certain things in Facebook and other social media platforms. And like I said, content creators could all utilize your emotions to monetize it. But let's continue on.
And that might cause you to spend even more time on Facebook, right?
So if you're really sad or you're really happy about, Daniel Craig not wanting to be the next James Bond, we can really get into our emotions on Facebook over that. But the fact is there's no dislike button. There's no...
Yeah, there's no exact dislike button. That would be a little bit too black or white, right? The world is much more gray than that. And rather than disliking something, you can say you're sad about it, or you can say you're laughing at it, you're making fun of it. It gives you more options, more ability to actually express how you feel. And like you mentioned, it's starting right now in just 2 countries. It's a test in Spain and Ireland, but I'm sure we'll see it expand over time. It's the kind of thing that Facebook will test with small groups of users and then roll out more broadly. It kind of is the same thing we're seeing with text messaging. We're seeing emojis becoming more and more and more popular, almost like a whole new language. And what we're seeing is Facebook using some of that emoji-like language in order to give people more ways to give feedback.
So there's really no point in talking. We can just send silly faces to each other, hey?
Well, you know me. I send about half emojis, half words. I don't know about you, but I will be sure to go and love your Facebook profile now that we can do more than just like.
I'm old school, so, that's all you're getting from me, Brian Stelter.
It's okay. You seen that, you heard that. And I ain't gonna lie, just hearing him saying some of the things that he said is so prophetic. Like the use of emojis. I don't know if this is definitely prior to the emoji movie. There was a whole movie about emojis. I like the fact that he stated the reason for this is to collect more data on the user to keep them on the platform longer. But I would be remiss not to mention this. I have to point out the irony of this news clip and what news outlets have been doing for so long. And now the playbook that social media been using, I say at least for the past 10 years. And that is monetizing rage. Now, when it comes to monetizing rage, right? Rage and anger was always valuable. It always have been profitable. Now, let's think about this, right? Let's think about you watching the news. They always lean into a story that would make you feel angry and or scared, right? Then we have 24-hour news channels that would take that story of anger and lean into what makes you angry. For example, right now, immigration and mass deportation is an angry issue that, depending on news channel that you're watching, they will give you the content that will make you more angry about the subject. I will give you 2 ways how this is working in this hot topic of immigration as an example, right? Now let's start with a left-leaning news outlet. What would they show you? They would show you ICE agents deporting someone who has been in this country for like 50 years, right? That would make you mad. But because someone who's been here for 50 years that never caused any problems, working a job, paying taxes, perhaps this person had a business and employ people from the neighborhood, you were like, they should overlook this person. He's not a problem. He's more of a asset than a liability. He should stay here. But now you see this person getting deported. If you're a left-leaning person, how would that news resonate with you? You would be highly upset. You would be so pissed off seeing this person getting hauled off, right? Now, let's look at right-leaning news outlets. A legal immigrant raped and killed a college student. What do you think the reaction is to that? The reaction is most likely this young girl with a bright future and her dreams was destroyed by this person who should not have been here in the first place. This person is a legal immigrant. He should not have been here. Now we can mix in the influx of fentanyl that is coming through our borders with mass immigration. Now you see how this works, right? Both of these news outlets will have you watching out of anger constantly because that's how we are wired as people, and they know that. Sports are the same way. I will use the example of Floyd Money Mayweather, arguably one of the best boxers of all time, right? But people used to watch Mayweather fights just to see if someone could beat him up because of his arrogance and his confidence made people angry. And Mayweather, being as smart as he is, he leaned into that. This method was so effective that Mayweather, the American, would fight people from other countries, and Americans would watch to see if Mayweather would finally get knocked out. And this is very unusual because traditionally, especially in boxing, it was a battle between countries. So say you got somebody from Mexico, everybody that is Mexican would support the Mexican boxer. And say you got somebody from America, everybody from America would support the American boxer. But Floyd Mayweather, he broke that barrier. First of all, Floyd Mayweather will fight a Mexican on a Mexican holiday, and everybody want to see Floyd Mayweather lose if Floyd Mayweather would beat up the Mexican on a Mexican holiday and make crazy amounts of money, right? But between his skill set as a boxer, his awareness how anger is profitable, and his business sense, this made Floyd Mayweather a fortune. So right now, Floyd Mayweather is worth around $500 million. But using the examples of news and sports, one thing is common. The attention is captured. And once the attention is captured, the monetization begins. But with Facebook reaction feature, especially the anger reaction, Facebook was able to digitize and scale it and use it for profit. Because now Facebook don't need to create that rage, they just need to capture it. And by capturing it, they can now provide more content that is tied to what you're angry about. So now, the like button, right? The like button, that was just too binary. It just like, that's it, wasn't really capturing. But when you added reactions, especially anger, it gave Facebook more of an emotional detail to what to show the users. The more detail the algorithm gets, the better Facebook targets the content. The better the targeting the content, the more money they make from ads. Now, going back how anger captured attentions. Now, this is a measurable data that becomes extremely valuable. This algorithm is learning what it is to keep you hooked, and the engagement on the platform is going up because angry users comment more. If you don't believe me, think about the time you had a bad experience at some establishment. How quick were you to go into Google, or how quick were you to go into Facebook and air out your grievances, or leave a review and give a 1-star review? Same thing with Amazon. How quick were you to do something like that? Not only do angry users comment more, they also stay longer. Because once you leave an angry comment, you naturally want to see who agrees with you for allyship, or you want to see who disagrees with you so you can double down on what you said to this person. Angry users also return to the platform faster because what they're angry about is in the front of their mind. These angry users also share content that makes them angry with more urgency. If something is making me mad, I want you to be mad about it with me. Angry people stay on these apps and refresh to see more information on what is making them angry. Now, this measurable new feature that Facebook added, they were able to measure anger, place anger in front of you, and sell that anger for advertisements. When it comes to the rise of rage-bait content, something that we see in mass on social media apps in modern times, this type of content is now rewarded with money, and people in some cases making 7-figure salaries and running full-time businesses doing this. Platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and X pay their creators money to create content, and the oldest formula of keeping attention is anger or fear. And that is the fuel of rage-bait creators. Think about your timeline. If you have not actively deleted your history on these apps like Poolman, shout out to Poolman, suggested, more than likely your feed is filled with anger content. I spoke about this on episode 13, how X now exposed the location of these bot farms, because these bot farms were in countries outside the United States that created political accounts that sparked engagement. And also these bot farms use bots to place comments to either agree or disagree with people on hot topics. These bot farms were making real money with our emotions. Content that makes people angry and places fear travels faster. Think about the old saying, bad news travels fast. That is the same thing with rage bait content. Rage bait content works because it creates a tribe-like mentality that uses people's anger and create online trauma bonding. Just like the news using anger, content creators can now do the same thing to create online tribes. But nowadays, this is so effective. In some cases, content creating bringing more views than the national news channels. Let's think about a political content creator and how this person could easily create content that would make their viewers angry. But the call out is the person now is creating content on a device that is meant to be in your pocket, not on a TV that's in your house. This creator create content, but also engage with the viewer to affirm the viewer's perspective. The viewer would now get real-time feedback from their comment on a topic by replies, emotion reactions, and like, dislike, anger, sad, and etc. The viewer will be back for more and more. And all while the creator getting paid from a platform and the platform is getting paid from the advertisers. This right here is a $1 billion formula. Like Kanye once said, it all falls down. Drug dealer buy Jordan's crackhead buy crack, and the white man get paid off of all of that. In this case, the drug dealer is the rage bait content creator. The crackhead is the user viewer that engaged in the rage bait, and the white man who gets paid from all of that is the social media company that encourages rage bait content. Now, let's talk about the price we pay as a people when anger is monetized. You experience emotional exhaustion. Monetizing anger is emotionally exhausting for both the creator and the consumer. Let me break down both. Being a creator who once created social commentary, I noticed to pull this hat on me. Having to constantly research topic that made me angry, then create content around that topic, having to relay that message to make my viewers just as angry as me. Once I exhausted that energy into a topic of anger, I had to receive feedback in the form of comments. Whether that person agrees or disagrees, it was there for me to take in. Then I had to defend my take in the comments with someone who had a different point of view. Then in order to keep this going, I had to keep repeating the cycle. Now, with me being in a space of creative content, I have direct contact with other content creators, and we discuss our experience during this, right? And more often than not, these creators are exhausted doing this. But they know they have to feed the machine in order to get paid. That is why you're starting to see an influx of creators coming onto YouTube saying, I quit, because anger is not sustainable for a healthy lifestyle. Now, let's discuss the consumer, the viewer of this content. If you follow, subscribe to like-minded creators that are affirming what you believe. So now you can insert any hot topic that will make you mad, right? Not going to say anything specifically, but you could insert any hot topic. You will watch one creative video on this topic, then another. Then you do a deep dive into the comments of this video. Then let's say you're on YouTube and the algorithm recommends more content on this subject matter from people you never heard of. That makes you subscribe to those creators. That shows YouTube you want more of this content. Then you take that topic and go into TikTok and Instagram and watch short form content on the same subject matter. Now you're sharing these shorts with like-minded people who are also angry about this. Then on TikTok and Instagram, you're back in the comments. Then you go into Facebook or X and you do the same thing. But now on Facebook and X, you create posts about this. And now you argue with people that disagree with you, or you build tribes with people that affirm you. That vicious cycle will have you in a digital chokehold for hours, if not for days. The biggest call out from these two examples is that we experience emotional exhaustion because this is not sustainable for the betterment of our health and our mental well-being. This is because we're human, and the platform that makes the most from this are not. It's an emotionalist algorithm that is designed to measure your anger and analytically to make a profit. And if we don't get a hold of this, we find ourselves digitally incarcerated into this vicious cycle. When Facebook rolled out this feature in 2016, the reaction button shifted from social connection to emotional extraction. This wasn't a platform update. It was a business model to weaponize our anger and make us digitally incarcerated. And most of us don't know that we're prisoners and correctional officers of this digital prison. That's why conversations like this are important. So next time you're on social media, pay attention to the timeline. Do you find what you're seeing make you angry? If so, reflect on it and do what Poolman suggested. Delete the history of your searches on social media apps and start fresh. You will be surprised how impactful that is. So let me ask you this. If rage is one of the most profitable resources on the internet, who benefits from keeping you angry?